comedy series that arrives as a box set on BBC iPlayer on Friday the 22nd of November. It's called Only Child. And here's a clip.
I see you walking towards me.
Hi, Dad.
For Richard, visiting his dad was never easy.
We're going to hospital, not the seaside. Yeah, but you don't know how long we're going to be waiting around for.
The last thing he expected was to stick around.
My generation didn't pay any attention to sell-by dates. We turned it just fine.
There is a bit of a theme, isn't there? Because not only do you say sort of the old actor here, but also the fact that we're sort of talking about programs that are looking at areas of society that we often all have to face, but aren't often talked about or kind of written about or filmed. And this is quite similar in some ways to what we were talking about before, albeit slightly different to Ted Danson's piece. But this is based around a father and son, and looking at how that is from both sides. So you have it is a comedy. I mean, it is really funny in places, but I say it does touch on quite sort of I think things that we all face. So you've got Gregor Fisher and you've got Greg McHugh, and they star as father and son, Ken and Richard. The father is recently widowed, and there's a long overdue kind of period of time that the son needs to go and see him. And when he goes and does see him, in the middle of nowhere in Scotland, really, he realises that his dad's not coping quite as well as he had perhaps hoped or thought. And I think he'd done a good job of kind of making him think that everything was fine. And so this is kind of told through the lens of their relationship. And he needs a lot more help, his dad. He realises quite quickly when he visits him that he needs a lot of help, full-time help, really. And the dad doesn't agree. And, we've all heard it before. Those use-by dates, we used to drink that. It was not a problem. You just smell it. It would be absolutely fine. And there's stuff in the fridge that's going off and he shouldn't be using. And it's navigating that very intergenerational relationship, I suppose, that so many of us have to navigate. And they're both really strong-willed characters. The dad, Ken, is very set in his ways. He's a technophobe. He doesn't want to try anything new particularly. And the son, Richard, is really worried about him. And you just see this navigated, but in a comedic fashion. And I think it's really good because it shines a light on something that is happening to so many of us, where we worry about things and what can you do, and the care system's quite broken, and how do we deal with these things, and going back and living in some instances like he has, going back and staying for a prolonged period of time, and what that's like as well, because it's slightly different to when you were a child growing up with your parents. So I think this is really good, actually, and I think that it because it's a comedy and because it brings a lighter touch to it, it makes it a little bit more palatable. What do you think, Ian?
I enjoyed it. And Gregor Fisher, of course, best known as Rabsy Nesbitt, a wonderful comic character, string vest wearing Scotsman. And Greg McHugh, I loved him in Fresh Meat, which was the undergraduate comedy drama by the creators of Peep Show. It's kind of felt slightly like a series from another age, and I don't mean that in a negative way. And I guess famously, if you think of another series about a father and son living together and kind of rubbing each other up the wrong way. Oh, Steptoe and Son, anyone? That's very old. But anyway, it starts with a great joke. So Richard Pritchard, he's a kind of small-time actor, basically, and he's coming to see his dad, and the dad can't get his tablet to work, and it turns out it's the kitchen scales. It's not his tablet at all. So there's a lot of stuff like that about technophobia, and the dad is slightly losing it, and he's a widower, and his home is chaotic. He's having arguments with all the neighbours. So yeah, it's a nice setup. The two of them are both great. They play off each other really nicely, and I had a chat with them for this, and Gregor Fisher was very funny because, when you ask him things like, oh, why did you want to appear in this series? And he says, well, my accountant told me to do it for the money. So he's good value. He's been on TV promoting this, hasn't he? So, Yeah, I thought this was a lovely, quite touching, and had a kind of nostalgic feel about it, but I very much enjoyed it.